Sometimes life throws surprises at us that are so unbelievable. It makes us wonder, was it just chance or something more? Today, we're counting down the top 7 crazy coincidences you won't believe happened. From history-defying predictions to encounters that seem written by fate, these stories will leave you questioning reality. Ready? Let's jump in. 7. The twin brothers' eerie lives. Imagine being separated at birth, growing up in completely different families, and still leading nearly identical lives. This is the bizarre tale of Jim Springer and Jim Lewis, two identical twins who were separated at birth and adopted by different families. They didn't know about each other for 39 years, but when they finally met, the coincidences were shocking, and both were named Jim by their adoptive families. Both married women named Linda and then divorced. Then their second wives were both named Betty. And get this, both had dogs named Toy. How could two people lead such identical lives without ever meeting? Coincidence or something stranger? Number 6. Mark Twain and Halley's Comet. Mark Twain, one of America's greatest authors, had a strange connection with the cosmos. Twain was born in 1835, the same year Halley's Comet passed by Earth. He later predicted that he would die when it returned, saying, "I came in with Halley's Comet, and I expect to go out with it." True to his word, Twain died on April 21st, 1910, just one day after the comet returned to our skies. It's almost as if his life was tethered to something out of this world. 5. The prophetic novel of the Titanic. 14 years before the RMS Titanic sank in 1912, a man named Morgan Robertson wrote a novel called Futility. The novel was about an enormous ship called the Titan, and here's where things get spooky. In the book, the Titan struck an iceberg in the North Atlantic, resulting in the deaths of nearly everyone on board because the ship didn't have enough lifeboats. Sound familiar? Both the fictional Titan and the real Titanic were described as unsinkable. Both struck icebergs in April, and both had a tragic shortage of lifeboats. How did Robertson predict the Titanic disaster with such eerie accuracy? Coincidence, or was he onto something? 4. Edgar Allan Poe's time-traveling tale. Edgar Allan Poe, the master of horror, wrote a gruesome tale about a shipwreck in his 1838 novel, The Narrative of Arthur Gordon Pym. In it, shipwreck survivors stranded at sea end up eating a cabin boy named Richard Parker to stay alive. Now, fast forward to 1884, 46 years after the novel's publication, when a real ship, the Mignonette, sank. The surviving sailors adrift at sea were forced to eat the cabin boy, whose name was Richard Parker. A fictional story that later played out in real life, with names and details eerily matching. Could Poe have tapped into something we don't understand? Number 3. The Hoover Dam's first and last deaths. One of the most astounding coincidences surrounds the Hoover Dam. The first person to die during its construction was George Tierney, who tragically lost his life in 1922 while preparing the dam site. Fast forward to 1935, and the last fatality during the dam's construction? Patrick Tierney, George's son. Two men, connected by blood and fate, losing their lives in the same project 14 years apart. Is it a family curse? Or just an unbelievable coincidence? Number 2. Violet Jessop, the unsinkable woman. Violet Jessop's life reads like the script of an action movie. Known as the unsinkable woman, she survived 3 of the most infamous ship disasters in history. First, she was aboard the RMS Olympic when it collided with another ship. Then, she was on the RMS Titanic and lived to tell the tale. But that's not all. She also survived the sinking of the Britannic, the Titanic's sister ship, which struck a mine during World War I. 3 shipwrecks, 3 escapes. Jessop's survival story defies all odds. Is she the luckiest or unluckiest woman in history? The Kennedy-Lincoln connection. The connections between Presidents Abraham Lincoln and John F. Kennedy are so bizarre, they seem almost planned. Lincoln was elected to Congress in 1846, Kennedy in 1946. Lincoln became president in 1860, Kennedy in 1960. Both were assassinated on a Friday, with their wives present. Both were shot in the head. And here's the kicker. Lincoln had a secretary named Kennedy, while Kennedy had a secretary named Lincoln. The parallels are endless, and it makes you wonder, how can 2 historical figures, separated by nearly a century, share such eerie similarities? History has its way of repeating itself, but this is next level. So, what do you think? Are these just coincidences, or is something bigger at play here? Which story blew your mind the most? Drop a comment below, and if you enjoyed this list, Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more weekly content.